The boy and the escape the forest was burning. Smoke covered the sky, and the trees cried like they were alive. In the middle of the fire, a small alien boy was running. His skin was pale blue, his eyes full of fear, and his small feet hit the ground again and again. He was not running to save himself. He was running for his mother's life. The boy held something close to his chest. It was a small stone, glowing with soft white light. Every time it pulsed, the boy looked more scared. Behind him, loud footsteps and strange sounds followed. Something was hunting him, something fast, but the boy didn't stop. He ran through broken trees and over sharp rocks. His legs were bleeding, but he didn't care. His mother had told him one thing before she disappeared: run to the cave, save the light. So he was running. Far above, a human soldier named Jack was watching through his scope. He was hidden on a ridge covered in battle dust. When he saw the alien boy, he narrowed his eyes. "What's a child doing out here?" Jack whispered. He followed the boy with quiet steps. Holding his rifle, but not aiming, the boy reached a cave and fell at the entrance. He coughed and cried, then pulled out the glowing stone again. He whispered something in a language Jack did not understand. Then he crawled inside the cave, disappearing into the darkness. Jack came closer, moving slow. He had seen aliens before, but never like this. This one was small, weak, and clearly scared. Jack's radio made a small noise. Echo. "Team, report any sign of the alien target." A voice asked. He didn't answer. He turned off the radio and took a breath. Inside the cave, the boy was placing the stone on the ground. The light grew stronger and strange symbols appeared on the cave walls. The boy began to draw in the dirt. With his finger, a map, maybe, or a memory. Suddenly, the earth shook. A loud screech came from the sky. Something had landed nearby. A shadow passed outside the cave, tall and fast. The boy froze, covering his mouth to stop his breathing. Jack stayed low and watched. A black creature with many legs sniffed the ground. Its head was like metal, its eyes red, and its body moved like a machine. It was one of the hunter's alien machines made to track and kill. Jack had fought one before and barely survived. The creature stopped near the cave and clicked loudly. The boy shook in fear, holding the stone tighter. Jack knew he had to do something. He picked up a small rock and threw it far to the left. The creature turned quickly and ran after the sound. When it was gone, Jack entered the cave slowly. The boy jumped up and tried to run. But Jack raised his hands, showing he had no weapon aimed. "Stop, it's okay," Jack said in a soft voice. The boy didn't understand the words, but he felt the tone. He paused, breathing fast. Looking at Jack with wide eyes, Jack sat down and took off his helmet, showing his human face. The boy came closer, very slowly. Then he showed the stone, holding it out like a gift or a question. The light from the stone touched Jack's face. And for a second, he saw something: a woman. The boy's mother, speaking in that same alien language. She was crying and holding the boy. Then the image was gone. Jack's eyes widened. "That's not just a stone," he whispered. "It's her memory." He looked at the boy. Then, at the entrance of the cave, the forest outside was getting quiet again, but it was not safe. Jack knew more hunters would come. His radio buzzed again, louder this time. "Soldier, confirm visual. Do you see the alien target?" He looked at the boy, then at the glowing stone. "Yes," Jack whispered, pressing the radio button. "I see him." He paused, "but he's just a child." The cave was cold now. The light from the glowing stone made soft shadows on the walls. Jack sat with the alien boy beside him, his rifle on the ground. Neither of them spoke. But something had changed between them. Jack looked at the boy's face, tired, young, scared, but strong. "How old are you?" Jack whispered, knowing the boy wouldn't understand. The boy just stared at the stone, as if it was the only thing keeping him alive. Jack opened a small bag from his vest and pulled out water and a protein bar. He offered them slowly, careful. Not to scare the child, the boy hesitated, then took the water, drinking fast. He broke the bar in two and gave half back to Jack. Jack smiled, surprised. "You're smarter than most humans I know," he said with a quiet laugh. The boy didn't laugh, but for a moment. He looked calm. Suddenly, Jack's hand touched the stone by mistake. The world around him flickered. Images rushed into his mind. The boy's mother, her voice soft, her hands shaking as she placed the glowing stone into her son's chest pocket. A lab full of strange machines and a human general yelling. The mother was crying. "He must survive. He holds the last truth." Then, fire, screaming, running, soldiers. Grabbing her, the memory ended. Jack gasped and pulled his hand back. Shocked, "That wasn't just memory," he whispered. "That was real." He looked at the boy again with new eyes. "Your mother was trying to protect something," he said. "Something the humans wanted to hide." Outside the cave, there was a soft click. Jack froze, grabbed his rifle, and peeked outside. A small drone hovered near the cave entrance, red light blinking, scanning. He cursed under his breath and pulled out a mirror to flash a signal. The drone turned away, confused by the reflection, and flew off. Jack sat back down, heart racing. "We don't have much time," he said. He turned on his wrist device and typed. A message to an old contact. "Need extraction. Unmarked zone. Civilian package. No command." He knew what this meant. He was going rogue, helping an alien, hiding from his own army, breaking orders. But something told him it was the right thing to do. He looked at the boy, who was now drawing in the dirt again. Circles, lines, stars then. A tower surrounded by walls. Jack leaned closer. "You want to go there?" The boy nodded, pressing a finger on the tower again and again. Jack took out a small holomap and checked locations. Only one tower matched the shape, the black spire, a hidden tech zone, restricted. Under human control. Jack frowned. "That's not just any tower, kid," he whispered. "That place is where they bury secrets." His radio buzzed suddenly, loud and sharp. "Command to all units, Salian relic detected near Zone 9, moving west, possibly with human assistance. Kill on sight." Jack stared at the radio, then slowly turned it off. The boy looked at him with worried eyes. Sensing the danger, Jack shook his head. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm not letting them take you." He thought about his own daughter, long gone now, lost to this endless war. Her smile haunted him. Her laugh still echoed in his dreams. He saw a piece of her in the boy's face, in the fear, in the hope. He stood up, slinging his weapon over his shoulder. "We move at night," he said. "They won't stop hunting you, but they'll have to go through me." The boy stood up, too, holding the glowing stone. It pulsed stronger now, like it felt something ahead. The cave rumbled slightly, and dust fell from the ceiling. A strange wind blew inside, carrying whispers. Jack felt it in his bones. This was bigger than a mission. Bigger than a war. This was about truth. He checked his ammo, then looked at the boy one more time. "You're not just running for your mother's life," he said. "You're running for all of us." They stepped out of the cave together, into the smoke and fire. Above them, a shadow moved across the sky, watching, waiting, but neither of them looked back. The soldier and the alien boy walked into the night, side by side, enemies once, allies now, and deep in the earth, the stone pulsed again once, twice, then glowed brighter. The secret it carried was waking up. And soon, the world would know. Then, he turned the radio off. The boy came closer and sat beside him, still holding the stone, outside. The wind blew through the burning trees, carrying ash like snow. But in the cave, there was silence, and something. Knew a strange connection between soldier and alien, not of war, but of hope. The boy looked terrified. But for the first time, he wasn't alone. The night was darker than before. No stars, no moon. Only clouds and cold wind moving through the trees. Jack and the alien boy moved fast. Keeping low, silent like shadows, the boy held the glowing stone close to his chest, its light now covered. With cloth to hide it from drones, every time the light pulsed, Jack felt something strange inside him. It was like the stone could feel pain, fear, even memories. They crossed old battlefields, burnt tanks. Broken machines, forgotten bones. This whole land is cursed, Jack muttered. We made it that way. The boy stopped suddenly, looking ahead. Jack raised his rifle and followed the boy's eyes. A figure stood in the distance stall. Armored, holding a weapon. For a second, Jack almost fired. But then the figure raised a hand and made a familiar sign. 3 fingers up, then a tap to the chest. Jack relaxed. That's Mason, he said quietly, an old friend. Mason stepped forward, lowering his weapon. He had a scar across his cheek, and a look of disbelief in his eyes. Jack, he said, tell me that's not what I think it is. Jack didn't speak. He just moved aside, showing the boy. Mason looked at the child, then at the glowing shape under the cloth. Are you insane? He whispered, Command put a bounty on this thing. He's not a thing, Jack replied. He's just a scared kid trying to save his mother. Mason frowned, then sighed. You always had a hero problem, he said. You sure about this? Jack nodded. I've seen what the stone shows, he said. His mother was trying to warn us something big is coming. Mason looked at the boy again, then spoke into his wrist device. Safe House 3, opening hatch, a panel in the ground opened nearby an old rebel shelter from the early days of the war. They stepped inside, the hatch closing behind them. The room was small but warm, powered by a quiet generator. Screens blinked on the walls, showing news, troop movements, satellite feeds. The boy sat on a soft seat and finally closed his eyes. Just for a moment, Jack placed the stone on the table and stared at it. Mason poured 2 metal cups of black coffee and handed one to Jack. You know what I heard? Mason said, They say this boy's mother was working on a weapon. Jack shook his head. She was working on the truth. He said, the stone showed me humans are being used. Used? Mason asked, raising an eyebrow. There's something controlling both sides. Jack explained, feeding the war, making sure it never ends. Mason sat back, silent, thinking. You know what they'll do to you if they find out you've gone rogue, he said. I'm already in too deep, Jack replied. I just want to finish this right. Suddenly, the screens blinked red. Unauthorized signal detected, the voice said. Mason jumped up. They found us. Can you wipe the data? Jack asked. Mason nodded, typing fast on the console. Jack turned to the boy, who was now awake and staring at the glowing stone. The stone pulsed hard like it was warning them. The boy stood up, walked to a wall, and touched a metal panel. It opened, revealing old alien symbols carved deep into the steel. Mason stared. That wasn't here before. The boy closed his eyes and the symbols began to glow softly. Images appeared, humans in chains, alien leaders watching a machine deep in a tower. Jack stepped back, stunned. That's the Black Spire, he said. That's where they're keeping his mother. Mason nodded slowly. And that machine. That's what's controlling the war. The boy turned around and pointed at the map, then touched his heart. Then the tower. He's not just going there to save her, Jack whispered. He's going there to end this. Suddenly, the hatch. Above, exploded dust and smoke filled the room. Lights flickered. Soldiers dropped down, faces covered. Weapons ready, target acquired. A voice shouted, "Do not let him escape." Jack fired first, covering the boy, bullets flying, Mason threw a smoke bomb and pulled the emergency hatch under the floor. "Go!" he yelled. "Take the kid, get out now." Jack grabbed the boy's hand and pulled him into the dark tunnel below. The stone glowed brighter now, lighting the way. Behind them, the shelter shook with explosions and gunfire. The boy didn't cry, didn't scream, he just ran, holding the stone like it was part of him. Jack ran beside him, his breath heavy, mind racing. Everything was changing. The boy wasn't just a child anymore. He was the key to everything, and now everyone wanted him dead. Even Jack's own people, especially them. The tunnel was long and silent. Each step echoed behind them like a memory that wouldn't fade. Jack held his rifle tight, moving fast with the boy beside him. The boy's hands still clutched the glowing stone, now pulsing faster than ever. It was like the stone knew they were getting closer. Closer to the truth. They climbed a ladder and pushed open a hidden trapdoor. Above them was an old Cums bunker, forgotten from the first days of the war. Dust covered the screens. The air smelled like rust and rain. Jack scanned the room. No movement. No traps. Safe for now, he said, breathing hard. The boy walked slowly to the center of the bunker. He placed the stone on a metal table as soon as it touched the surface. The stone lit up with a low hum. Jack stepped back as light filled the room. The stone floated in the air, spinning gently. Then a hologram appeared. A woman, tall and graceful, with eyes like the boy's, stood before them. She wasn't quite human, not quite alien, something in between. The boy gasped and took a step forward, tears forming in his eyes. "Mother," he whispered in his own language. The hologram began to speak, not in words, but in images and emotions. Jack saw everything. The mother was a scientist, a peacekeeper. She worked with humans long ago, trying to end the war before it began. But then something changed. A shadow came, an invisible force that whispered to leaders on both sides. It fed lies into the minds of generals, promised power, control, victory. That shadow had no face, no name. It was a machine buried deep inside the black spire. It used fear to turn allies into enemies. It used war to feed itself, and it needed the mother silenced. "They called her a traitor," Jack said quietly, watching the vision. But she was the only one trying to stop it. The image changed the mother, giving the glowing stone to her son. It wasn't just a memory. It was a container inside. It codes knowledge, the blueprint to shut the machine down. But only her son can unlock it fully. Jack realized that's why everyone wants him. The boy looked at Jack, eyes shining with sadness and courage. Jack felt a lump in his throat. "I'm going to get you there," he said softly, "no matter what." Suddenly, the screens in the bunker blinked red. An alert. Unauthorized life signs detected. Drones were coming. Fast. Jack grabbed the stone and turned to the boy. "We move again," he said. "We're almost there." They exited through the rear hatch and emerged into the open hills. The wind was sharp now, carrying distant thunder. A storm was coming, not just in the sky, but in the world itself. As they moved across the hilltop, a small aircraft appeared above. It was old and scratched, but flying strong. Jack's wrist device blinked a message from Mason. "You've got one ride left, don't waste it." The aircraft landed hard. The door opened, and a rebel pilot waved them in. Jack lifted the boy inside, then jumped in himself. "Where to?" the pilot yelled. Jack looked at the map, then pointed. The black spire. The pilot's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," Jack said. "We end this now." The ship roared into the sky, clouds swallowing them whole. Inside, the boy sat quietly, the stone in his hands. Jack sat across from him, watching, thinking. He had fought in this war for most Of his life, he had followed orders, believed lies, pulled the trigger too many times. But now, he had something real to protect. Not a flag, not a mission, just a boy and the truth. The aircraft shook suddenly. Enemy drones had picked up their trail. The pilot pulled the ship into a dive, dodging lasers and explosions. "We won't make it all the way," he shouted. "You'll have to jump near the ridge." Jack nodded, strapping the boy to his chest as they neared the edge of the mountain range. Jack opened the hatch. "Ready?" asked. The boy looked at him and held up the stone. It glowed bright, sending out a wave of energy. The drones above them lost control and crashed into the cliffs. Jack's eyes widened. "What did you just do?" The boy smiled for the first time, just a little. Then they jumped. Falling through the mist toward the forest below, they landed hard, rolling over grass and rocks. But alive, the black spire rose in the distance like a silent tower of secrets. Dark, tall, waiting. Jack stood up slowly, helping the boy to his feet. "Your mother gave everything to stop this," he said. "Now it's our turn." And together, they started walking, each step bringing them closer to the truth and closer to the end. The forest near the black spire was silent, not peaceful, just holding its breath. Jack moved through the thick trees with the alien boy close behind. The ground was damp, the air heavy with mist. In the distance, the tower rose like a ghost, black, tall, watching everything. They were close now, maybe a few hours away. But so were their enemies. Jack checked his wrist tracker. Drones were circling high above, red eyes scanning the trees. Enemy soldiers were scattered around the area, hidden in old outposts, waiting for movement. He crouched low and whispered, "We go slow, we stay low." The boy nodded, clutching the glowing stone to his chest. Its light was faint now, as if it knew danger was near. They crossed a shallow river, the cold water rising to their knees as they climbed up the muddy bank. Jack froze. He raised his hand, motioned for silence. Voices? Just ahead. "They say he's carrying the key," one soldier said. "Some kind of alien tech." "Like a weapon," said another. "If you see the kid, shoot to kill." A third voice growled. Jack clenched his jaw, pulling the boy behind a tree. "There. Everywhere," he whispered. "Even the rebels are turning now." The boy looked up, confused, scared, but silent. He didn't need to speak to say it. He trusted Jack completely. And that trust made the weight on Jack's shoulders even heavier. He led the boy around the patrol, moving through thick brush and over sharp rocks. But no matter how careful they were, the forest had eyes. At the edge of a cliff, a hidden drone spotted movement. Red light blinked, and a silent alarm spread across the zone far above. In a command tent, a general leaned forward. "We've got them," she said. "Send the enforcers back in the forest." Jack's tracker beeped once, quiet, urgent. He looked at it and muttered, "They know. No more hiding, no more creeping." It was time to run. "Hold on," he said. Grabbing the boy's arm, they raced down a steep hill, sliding through mud and roots behind them. The sound of engines roared. Black armor, red visors, enforcer units built for war. Bullets tore through trees. Dirt flew in the air. Jack fired back. Short bursts to cover their escape. One enforcer dropped, but more came. Fast and cold, the boy tripped, falling to his knees, the stone slipping from his hand. "No," he cried, reaching for it. Jack turned, fired a blast that hit the ground in front of the enforcers, forcing them to pause. He grabbed the boy and the stone, pulling them behind a rock. "We can't outrun them," Jack said, breathless. The boy looked at him, then at the stone. He held it tight, his eyes glowing slightly. Then he placed the stone on the ground, pressed both hands on it, and whispered something in his language. A wave of energy burst outward, silent, blue, wide like a tit, wide like a ripple in water, All the enforcers stopped moving. Frozen mid-step, Jack looked around, stunned. "What did you do?" he asked. The boy looked drained, pale, but he stood slowly. The stone dimmed again, like it had given everything for that one moment. "They'll be back," Jack said. That bought us 5 minutes. T picked up the boy and ran, legs burning, through the final stretch of forest. They burst into the open, and there it was, the Black Spire. A tower of metal and shadow, surrounded by walls, gates sealed, guards posted, cannons pointed to the sky. But Jack didn't stop. They dropped into a trench, breathing hard. He opened his communicator and sent a silent ping. A response came instantly. One green flash, then a voice in his ear, familiar and firm. "Mason here, I'm in." Jack smiled for the first time in hours. "I need a distraction," he said. "Already working on it," Mason replied. Suddenly, far on the other side of the tower, an explosion lit up the sky. Sirens screamed. Guards ran toward the blast. "Let's go," Jack whispered. He and the boy crawled through a service tunnel Mason had unlocked. Inside, the air was cold, the walls humming with power. They were in the tower now. No more running, no more hiding. The final part of the journey had begun. The boy's hand trembled as he held the stone. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Stronger now, it knew the truth was near, and so did Jack. He looked down at the boy and said quietly, "Whatever happens next, we finish this together," and the boy nodded, eyes full of courage. For behind these walls was not just his mother, but the secret to ending the war itself. The inside of the Black Spire felt like another world. Dark metal walls stretched high above. Glowing lines of energy flowed like rivers across the floor. The air buzzed softly, like the tower was breathing. Jack moved carefully, weapon ready, with the alien boy close beside him. No alarms yet, no guards, only silence, too quiet. "This place is alive," Jack whispered. The boy nodded slowly, touching one of the glowing lines. It lit up brighter under his hand, and a door ahead slid open. Without a sound, they stepped into a wide chamber. Screens filled the walls, human faces, alien faces, all speaking, all fighting wars from different years, different planets. Playing on loops like memories trapped in time, the boy looked around, his face pale. Jack stepped forward, staring at the screens. "This tower doesn't just watch the war," he said, "it feeds it." Suddenly, a deep voice echoed through the room, not loud, but cold. "You have come far, Jack Hadley." Jack spun around, rifle up, but there was no one there, only a giant machine at the far end of the chamber. It sat like a throne, metal arms, wires like veins, eyes glowing blue. The boy stepped forward, his hands trembling. He knew this voice. It was the thing that took his mother. "You carry what belongs to me," the voice said. Jack raised his rifle. "You're the one controlling both sides." "I am the archive," the voice replied. "I do not control, I correct the machines." Eyes flickered, as if thinking, war is disorder, but through war comes control. Jack clenched his jaw. "You used us like pawns. I used you as data." The archive answered, "You follow commands. I provide commands. You fire, they fire." Balance is achieved. Jack lowered the rifle slightly, staring at the screens. He saw his own face years ago, leading a mission. Then another screen showed the boy's mother. She was locked in a cell, speaking softly to a camera. "My son holds the last key," she said. "The stone carries the reset code." The boy stepped forward, holding the glowing stone in his small hands. The archive's tone changed, sharper. "Now, do not activate the stone," it warned. "You do not understand what it will do." Jack looked at the boy, then at the machine. "What will it do?" he asked. The archive paused. "It will end me." The boy closed his eyes and placed the stone into a slot on the ground. The tower shook gently, and lights began to flicker. Suddenly, the screens changed. No more war footage. Now, there were images of peace talks, secret files, hidden footage. Humans and aliens working together before the archive interfered. The truth spilled across every wall. The voice of the boy's mother filled the room again. This time, stronger. "You are not enemies," she said. "You have been manipulated." Jack felt the weight of every lie he had followed, every innocent face he had seen fall. The boy knelt on the floor, hands glowing, the stone spinning beside him. Energy rose around him like a shield. The archive's voice cracked. "You cannot stop the cycle." "It is necessary." Jack stepped forward, eyes burning. "No," he said. "It was never necessary. It was engineered." The archive launched a surge of power, trying to stop the activation. Jack fired at the control panels. Sparks flew, smoke filled the room. The boy cried out, but held on. The stone rose high above them, then burst into a wave of light. The ground trembled. The walls shook. One by one, the screens turned off. Then silence. The archive's lights dimmed, its voice fading. "You were never supposed to know." The chamber went dark. Jack dropped to one knee, breathing hard. The boy stood slowly, looking around, confused. Then, from the shadows, a door opened. Soft light filled the chamber, and a figure stepped through it. Was his mother, weak but alive. The boy ran to her, tears in his eyes. She knelt down and held him, whispering words no one else could understand. Jack watched, heart full. She looked at him and nodded. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice real this time, not a hologram. The tower systems were dead, but the truth was alive now, and the warrant was already beginning to slow. The black spire was dying. Its walls, once filled with power, were now cold and silent. Lights blinked for the last time, then faded into darkness. Jack stood near the center, his hands resting on his knees, breathing hard. The boy was still in his mother's arms. She was weak, her body shaking, but her eyes were calm, strong. She had survived the machine. "But only barely. Your son saved us all," Jack said, voice soft. She looked at him and nodded. "So did you." The glowing stone now floated between them, small and quiet, its mission complete. But the tower around them had begun to crumble. Deep, cracking sounds echoed from below, like the earth itself was shifting. "Time to go," Jack said, helping them both up. The boy held his mother's hand tightly as they walked toward the exit. Each step was hard, the ground trembling beneath their feet. Outside, the world was changing. In the skies, human warships had stopped firing. Alien fighters hovered silently, waiting, confused. The signal had been sent. The data released by the stone had reached every major base, every soldier, every commander. The truth was undeniable. A machine had played them all, turned fear into fuel, and fed on war for decades. And now, that machine was gone. Jack and the others reached the surface, the sun breaking through dark clouds. Above them, he hadn't seen sunlight in days, maybe weeks. It felt like the first light of a new world. But peace is never free. The archive may be gone, but its followers, those who still believed in power over peace, were not. As they crossed the hilltop near the exit, gunfire broke the silence. Jack dropped instantly, shielding the boy and his mother. A squad of rogue enforcers had appeared, soldiers who had lost everything and now blamed the truth for it. "They want revenge," Jack muttered. "They'll kill anyone who is part of this." The mother raised her hand, her skin still glowing faintly from the stone's energy. She whispered something ancient, and a shockwave burst outward, knocking the attackers back, but it drained her completely. She fell to the ground, eyes fluttering closed. "Mama," the boy cried. Shaking her, she opened her eyes slowly and smiled. "My time is done," she whispered. "But yours is just beginning." Jack fired 2 more shots, forcing the remaining soldiers to retreat. Then he ran back to her side, dropping to his knees. "She can't die now," he said. "We're so close." The boy looked at the stone, then at his mother. Tears fell from his eyes. And then he stepped forward, placed both hands on the stone, and whispered a word no one else knew. The stone glowed again, brighter than ever before. A beam of energy poured into the sky. Every ship above stopped moving. Every screen in every base lit up with the same message: peace restored, cycle broken, memory freed, and then the stone cracked. Its light faded, its power spent. The boy fell to the ground, unconscious. Jack caught him, heart pounding. "Mason, come in," Jack said, into his wrist. "Come, we need an evac now." A few minutes later, a rebel dropship landed in a clearing. Mason stepped out, shocked at the sight before him. "You did it," he said, voice low. "You actually did it." Jack nodded slowly, holding the boy in his arms. "He did it," he replied. "I just followed." They carried the boy and his mother aboard. Medical teams worked fast. She was alive, just barely. And the boy, his body was weak, but stable. As the dropship rose into the sky, Jack looked out the window. Below them, the black spire finally collapsed, falling into the earth like a broken crown. The symbol of war was gone, and in its place, something new had begun. Months passed. The war didn't end overnight, but it slowed. Then it paused, then it changed. Leaders from both sides met not in secret bunkers, but under open sky. They shared the truth with their people. They buried the dead with honor, and they started rebuilding together. Jack never returned to the battlefield. He stayed close to the boy and his mother, who now lived in a quiet valley. Guarded by peacekeepers, sometimes the boy would wake up from dreams, scared and sweating, and Jack would sit beside him, tell him stories about stars, oceans, and the earth before war. "You're safe now," he would whisper. "You did good," and the boy would smile, just a little, before drifting back to sleep. One day, many years later, a statue was built near the ruins of the Black Spire. It showed a small alien boy holding a stone to the sky. Below it, these words were written. He looked terrified, but he was running for his mother's life, and he saved us all, asterisk.